Hey guys, so I wanted to talk about, something that I'm still kind of intrigued by, and I'm kind of glad that they're going the route they're doing because obviously they realize that not everybody, well, I wouldn't say not everybody financially could afford, a cabinet, if you will, to put in their house or, wherever they want. But they realize that maybe sometimes that person may not have the space that they need. And of course, I'm talking about Arcade 1-Up. You see, Arcade 1-Up has, for years, even since I was working at Walmart, been bringing out these arcade cabinet replicas. Sometimes they would even sell individually, a riser stand to basically give you that authentic, arcade feel that you would get when you would go to an actual arcade or wherever to play these systems. Now, of course, the Arcade 1-Up cabinets are not just, one primary game. They consist of several games. Now, there are some that are just one game itself. It's just one game on its own. But most of them are, a peripheral, a multitude of games, within. For example, I can't be too sure of this, but I think they've done a release on Rampage, has all the Rampage games on there. It has all the games that came out on the arcade, in the arcade on there. Same with the Capcom games, Street Fighter, it has Street Fighter, Fatal Fury, and all of them together. I played that cabinet at my job because we had it in the lounge in the back. And then, of course, you had them bringing out the Marvel series with X-Men and Punisher and all that. You had them bringing out the Ninja Turtles, with the arcade game and Turtles in Time put together. You had them bringing out the Simpsons cabinet with I think a few other games as well, along with that. Like I said, some of these were individual. Some of these were just straight up replicas, of one game, of one arcade game, and that's it. And they would sell. You would have of course classics like Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and then they would be comprised with, or not comprised, but they would also be bundled with other games as a part of them, like Gallagher or Galaga, and all that. So, that was pretty cool to see. But again, the one issue about these cabinets is, depending on where you lived, you had to have the space to put them in. You had to have space to put them in. And fortunately, what Arcade 1-Up has been doing, and I think other retro arcade companies have been doing the same thing, but mostly Arcade 1-Up is kind of leading the way. What they've been doing is improvising on that situation, because when you look at where I live, here, you would say, well, you should have room, right? Well, yeah, you would think that. Like in here, you would think, oh, well, all you have to do is maybe move this couch over to here, or you could just straight up put it right there, no problem, right? Or just move that cabinet maybe to your room, or move it, right over here, and then you could put the Arcade 1-Up right there. Yeah, you would think that. You would think that and everything. But, the problem basically is, as I've mentioned before, I live with my mom. And my mom is very, particular when it comes to, changing things, in certain parts of the house. Like we've talked about, the refrigerator and everything, and we're happy to have it. We got it for free. It functions very well. But, we talk about the fact that it's small, and we would like to get maybe, potentially a bigger one, or at least she kind of hints at it. Although she goes back to saying, hey, this is good enough for us, we don't need a bigger one. And she's right about that. But, she does kind of give little clues, hints that, yeah, maybe a bigger one would be great. But then again, she always wonders, okay, where would we put that if we got it, if we got a bigger one? And I think basically what you'd be looking at is something that's almost like up to here, almost, basically. But, you know, that's not all. That's not all. You look over here, we have the tree, right? Now, eventually, we got to take this tree down, probably this weekend, this upcoming week, so she could put her chair back over there. Now, you would think, oh, well, if that's the case, you could put the arcade one up probably right where the chair is, or you could put the arcade one up right where that light is, or wherever, right? You would think that. But that's not possible because she has things certain ways. Same as in here. You know, like I said, you know, you could move this, put it over to like this section and put the arcade one up there, but then again, she wouldn't want to go with that. And I know some of you are thinking, well, you know, why don't you move out, get your own place, that way you can do it. Because, as I've talked about before, you know, living with each other from a rental perspective benefits us both. It helps us out both. Now, with that said though, getting back on topic, what I'm glad that Arcade 1-Up is doing, along with all these other retro console companies, if you will, but mostly Arcade 1-Up, as I mentioned, leading the way, is they're bringing out various, you know, versions of, you know, these arcade cabinets. They're bringing out various versions of them so that you don't have to worry about making, you know, too much room. Also, you don't have to worry about piecing it together either, from what I can tell. Because now you have things like, you have a table-cade. Yeah, you have a counter-cade, as they call it, or table-cade. And what is a table-cade or counter-cade? Well, a counter-cade is basically a more console-like version of what they sell. That's what it is, from what I can tell. It's more of a console version of what they sell. The table-cade, if you will, the table-cade is essentially just a smaller version of the cabinets. It's just a smaller version of the cabinets that you could actually put, believe it or not, you know, on a table like that. You know, except go sideways, if you know what I mean. Like I said, the counter-cades, the counter-cades, if you will, are more along the lines of, you know, let's say a little big, basically about the combination size of the Xbox One S and my DVD player. You know, basically the same size of the Xbox One S, but then you add another 1S, or at least you extend the size of the DVD player just by a few more inches. And yeah, essentially that's what these counter-cades are. The same with the couch-cades, or the cushion-cades, as they call them. Now, the only difference, I think what is it, the cushion-cades, as they call it? I think that's what it is. I don't know if it's the same with the counter-cades. But basically, the big difference with the cushion ones is, or the couch ones, the couch-cades, as they call them, is, you could play the system by holding it on your lap because it has a cushion on the bottom. But the big difference is you got to hook up an infrared box. Yeah, just like you would hook up a cable box, you have to hook up an infrared box. So that way, you know, you'll be able to play the system wirelessly. Yeah, wirelessly. You'll be able to do it that way. Now, I don't know about the other one, the counter-cade, which is more like a tabletop, like I said, tabletop, alteration. You know, I don't know if that's the same thing. You know, where it's going to have infrared as well. But like I said, the other one that's basically a miniature version of the cabinets, a mini cabinet, if you will, is another way to play the system, play these games as well. Now, what I'm getting at by talking about all this is the fact that I appreciate that Arcade 1-Up is doing all this. I really do, because, again, it gives a lot of people options. Obviously, somebody at Arcade 1-Up, as I check my time here, somebody obviously at Arcade 1-Up realized, hey, we're not moving many units. Like when the units came out, don't get me wrong. When these units came out, basically, they were flying off the shelves. I remember we were selling, quite a few of them. But over time, the sales of these units started to slow down. And why were they slowing down? Either because of the fact that, well, basically people pretty much, got bored with them, or what happened is maybe the cost was a little too much, and to cut into other finances that need to be taken care of. Or mainly the fact that, as I mentioned with myself, they live, despite the fact that, they would want the full cabinet, they live in a house or an environment that, from a space perspective, doesn't offer that much space. Like, I could move my mom's plan here to somewhere, more safer, more appropriate maybe, if I could, and put the arcade one-up cabinet there, but that's never going to work. That would never happen. So, that's the one thing I appreciate about companies like Arcade One-Up doing. They are basically, essentially taking, all these cabinets that they have, and they're realizing, okay, we gotta get the retailers that are, selling them for us to mark them down so that we can get them out faster. But I think they're also realizing that not only do they have to do that, but they have to compromise, okay, how can we get people invested more in our products? And one of the things they're getting, and one of the ideas is basically just create miniature versions of your cabinets. Either the tabletop ones, which are basically mini arcade cabinets. Basically, it's like the upper region of the arcade cabinet, the screen and everything, but it sits on your table. Or they basically go the route of the counter-cade and couch-cade, way of basically, just allowing you to put it on, put it on your table, or, basically make it portable for you to where you can take it anywhere, where you can put it on a table and everything, hook it up with its infrared stuff, its wireless signal, and play from there. So I know it sounds like I'm rambling a lot and everything, not making any sense. I do apologize. But the point I'm getting at is, I wish Arcade One-Up would have done this, from the beginning. I mean, yeah, it was a great idea and still is that they're doing these replica cabinets, with risers included or risers sold individually. But I think they should have basically considered, okay, we're going to be selling these replicate cabinets, but what if not everybody can afford to get one? Or what if not everybody can be able to get one that would allow them to, not only put it together, but place it in an area in their house. So I wish they would have thought about that when they first came up with these ideas, so that way they can not only make money off the cabinets they'd be selling, but they'd be able to make money off the alternate versions of these cabinets that people could buy that would not only fit their budget better, but also be more accommodating. And also, I think the other thing that I'm sure made them realize that, hey, going this route with the arcade one-up alterations, is the fact that not a lot of people like having to put these things together. I think I mentioned that earlier. Not a lot of people like to, piece these things together. So I think they realized, either offer assembly included, in other words, have it assembled for the customer before sending it out, or sell them, like I said, these alternate versions of the tabletop, versions of the cabinet, or these, couch-cade or counter-cade versions of the cabinet that are basically like a console, if you will, basically like a console, that they could, place on the lap or place on the table and play like that. So again, I know it sounded like I was rambling a bit. I do apologize, but I just wanted to come out here and just talk about and show my respect and appreciation for what they're doing here. Because honestly, this is something that I think they should have done a long time ago. I really do. Again, the concept of, selling, replica, cabinets of original arcade cabinets for people to have at home, I think is a great idea. But I believe if they would have not only done that when they came up with the idea, to go with it or to go that direction, I wish they also would have came up with the idea to do all these alternatives, versions that they're doing now. I really do. Because not only, like I said moments ago, not only would it allow them to sell a lot of units, of the replica cabinets, but also all these alternatives for people that may not have the budget to buy one, or even the space to buy one, or not only buy one, but have the space to put it as well as assemble it. So, yeah, I just want to, do this little unfiltered, unscripted video, on the fly, if you will, showing my appreciation for Arcade 1-Up and these other retro gaming companies coming out and realizing, hey, maybe we made a mistake by going this route, and now we're able to make up for that with these alternate versions of the cabinets that we've already sold, but make them more affordable and more, in a sense, more portable, for people to have with them. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts on Arcade 1-Up and some of the other retro gaming companies out there that started selling the cabinets, the replica cabinets, but are now going the more portable route with the tabletop ones that are basically miniature versions of the cabinets, the couch-cade ones with the cushion on the bottom, or even the counter-cade ones that basically are like a small console that you place on your table or wherever. Let me know what your thoughts are down below. Comment if you like. I'd love to hear from each and every one of you. And until next time, guys, I will talk to y'all later.